Wholeness, beautiful beings, welcome to Notes of Nara. My name is Nadja Rashida, and may this message find you well and whole. So this is March. We are in the Ides of March. That's what it feels like anyway. But yeah, let's jump right into it. This is going to be a continuation of the topic creative life. And my question that I pose to you, my dear viewers, is will our creations save the world or hinder our expansion? I find that, there's probably at this point hundreds of thousands of videos out there, and books and research and classes and analysis and, psychological analysis of the human engagement with the digital realm, if you will. But we must ask ourselves, because we must ask ourselves this question about creativity and what we are creating, right? Will our creations help us evolve, or will it stunt our growth? Will it stunt our evolution as a human species, as beings having a human experience, or as souls incarnated in the flesh, in our vessels, right? Whatever and however you choose to perceive your reality, your existence, we're here regardless. Atheist, religious, spiritual, occultic, doesn't matter. We're all here. And in the last video, I mentioned that we have this choice to create or to destroy. I think it was Prince, the great musician Prince, who passed away over a decade ago, who mentioned, human beings are capable of doing two things. We can create or we can destroy. And in the last video, I was stressing, ask yourself the question, what are you creating on a day-to-day basis? Sometimes with our creations, it varies. It's a wide spectrum. A lot of it's for the light, a lot of it's for the dark. It really boils down to our intention. What is the intention behind what we create? The movie I still haven't seen with, he's an Irish actor I really like. He's very intense. He has intense blue eyes. What's his name? Cillian Murphy. Okay, he starred in Oppenheimer, and Oppenheimer, when it comes to history and the history of war and all that, he was the creator of the atom bomb. And I feel like it tortured him. He was just, probably mentally tortured at the consequence of creating such a thing. And I think the movie depicted that. I haven't seen the film yet, but it got, I think he won an Academy Award, or I don't know, it got rave reviews, the cinematography, the music, everything. But it really, all of that, all the talent of everyone coming together to create this film, right? Because we're creating all the time, right? A lot of it, under the disguise of a career choice or a job, right? We're always creative or creating. Even homemakers, you have a husband or wife that stays at home, a stay-at-home parent. You're creating continuously. You're creating and you're investing. You're nurturing that space for love, support, and safety and community for your family. We're always creating. Or you're putting together a multi-million dollar movie project, that you have all hundreds of people working, and then you have the star of the movie, right, that gets a lot of the glory, a lot of the attention, which I find quite funny that this actor, doesn't really care for all the hoopla, if you will. He's very well known for that. But we're creating. But in this movie, right, the atom bomb, the Oppenheimer, he creates this thing to destroy. And I know it's not an easy answer. It's almost like we are in, I've mentioned this before, but a video game within a video game within a video game. And we like to pretend, especially if you're talented and you have a lot of resources, you have access to a lot of resources, and meaning financial resources, education, networking, right? Doors will open for you faster and easier than others. Okay. And with that, we have the opportunity to do great things. Oftentimes our creativity and our creations, kind of like Frankenstein. It depends, really. What's going on in our internal world? Are we possessed by the ego? That's what happened to Frankenstein, a young, ambitious, curious, a student of science, of biology and life and anatomy and brilliance, genius even. And Frankenstein, my students are actually reading that right now, by Mary Shelley, I believe. Frankenstein got lost. He became obsessed with bringing things to life. We like to play the role of God. And if you think about it, co-creators, as we are God-like. In the Bible, we are the image of God, right? As it's written, we're the image of God, and I just find it funny because when you think of the word creativity, it's automatically high vibrational. When I hear the word creativity, it sparks joy, freedom, expression, right? Movement, fluidity. But what we tend to create can also restrict and destroy and dismantle and cause chaos. Creative life force energy, as I like to call it, that all human beings, all things living, even if they don't move, a rock is alive, a tree is alive. In the dead of winter, that tree with no leaves is alive. In the laws of chemistry, everything's moving and made up of atoms. Even our windows, things that are solid, they're all buzzing very, very fast, so fast that our eyes can't perceive it, but they're moving anyway. We're in organized chaos, but with pure chaos, if misused, can destroy. This is just, I feel, a law of nature, a law of what we, I guess, call it, of nature, maybe of the universe, who knows? But with this creative force, we can do good, we can do good things, or we can destroy it. And it really boils down to, on an individual level, what's going on in here. What would make Oppenheimer take his brilliance and his genius to create such a tool to destroy? I mean, he leveled. What he created leveled Nagasaki and Hiroshima in the 1940s. I was a very little girl, very young. I remember my mom would expose us to history, okay? She was a librarian in one of her jobs, and we had a plethora of books. We had, all kinds of books, all kinds of knowledge, and access to knowledge, and also film. She would bring VHSs home, and we learned about slavery. We learned about Europe, like opera, the humanities, okay? At a very young age, we were just exposed to quite a lot. And I remember one of the movies, I think it was called Hiroshima, in the early 1990s or late 1980s. And I think they spoke some English and Japanese in the film. I think it was an American film, I'm not sure, but it was very traumatizing for me in a way. But watching the effect, and here's the thing with Hollywood, Hollywood likes to romanticize war. They romanticize the hell out of war, okay? They did that with Saving Private Ryan, right? The first 15 minutes of the movie was harsh, okay? Heartbreaking. What else? Pearl Harbor, I can go on and on and on. Anything having to do with the past, the wars of the past, they romanticize it, but at the same time, they try to make it, they've gotten better at making it more realistic, but nothing can ever beat, no matter how realistic a Hollywood film can make something like that and try to recreate it, it can never beat what happened, okay? Real men and women and children and human beings experience such things. But being exposed to that at a very young age in some of the scenes and the after, like I would say the aftermath of watching what one man created. Can you imagine what if he put all of that genius into something beautiful, into something that could benefit all of humanity? But he didn't. And the weight of that, I feel, crushed him. I'm very empathic and very sensitive to, like when I look at photographs of human beings, of people, or places, I pick up a lot. And there's an interview of Oppenheimer. And he was very thin, he was a heavy smoker, drank a lot of coffee, very super thin, right? Had that rim, that the fedora, like real crisp, in the 1950s, they had style, okay? They really did. But the heaviness on that man, when there's an interview where his eyes, they're icy blue. It was black and white interview, done in black and white. This was an old snippet. And the way he was talking at a very slow and even pace, but the heaviness on him of the consequence of what he did with that energy, that brilliance, that talent, he could have put it towards anything that could have benefited the human collective, but he had a choice. What we choose to create, there are consequences. And sometimes our intentions are good. I would hope that the intentions of the development of AI are to make it easier for people, right? To make life more efficient. But, I feel like many people are like, well, why, what are the true intentions of these multi-billionaires making these things for the human collective to become more and more dependent on? What's the intention behind what we create? Why are we doing it? Is it to serve our ego, to get praise, to get the money, to gain more resources, more control? Because anything that you offer to the masses that will shift and change the foundation of how society operates, you're going to reap the benefits. Your children's children will reap the benefits of that. Mark Zuckerberg, okay? His great-grandchildren are going to reap the benefits of the choices that he made all the way back in 2005, 2004, of creating this software program that would unite people together. And there are pros and cons to all the things that we create. Always, unfortunately. Frankenstein, right? The man who was playing God. And oftentimes, man likes to do this. And I say man because there are some women in there too, but I mean, predominantly, I'm not sexist, I promise. I'm not. I'm just saying. Okay? But mankind likes to play God. I mean, it's a patriarchal society. Matriarchal societies are few and far between. They're still out there in the world. You do research, they're there. They're more communal based. They truly are. I'm not saying that they're better or worse, but they're more communal based. But don't piss off the mother, the matriarch, because we all know that dark feminine is worse than an atom bomb. Dark feminine, I feel like is quite you can't F with her. However, I feel man can misuse that dark feminine chaotic energy and still cause so much destruction. And in the story Frankenstein, he has to live with the consequences. A lot of people end up murdered accidentally, intentionally, because of what he did. Maybe he could have used that power to accept the natural balance and order in nature, rather than trying to bring and create something that's would be, I guess, labeled as an abomination. All because it piqued his curiosity. All because it served his ego. What are we doing with this energy that we've been gifted? Sometimes people create for creation's sake. Sometimes people create out of lack. They say, if I make this thing, then I'll never be poor again. If I create this thing, this opportunity, then they'll never be poor again. Or I can really relieve someone of this. It's all very multi-layered and interconnected. That's why it's like, you must ask yourself, is what I'm doing creating more space for love to grow? More space for light to shine? I know that shadow needs a home and shadow has a place. Okay? That's why people, study the dark arts and occultic knowledge and the things that can be unexplainable in the day-to-day in public schools. They don't teach the real things that people should know about themselves in schools, because it goes against their programming and their agendas. Truth is stranger than fiction. So, yes, there are consequences to what we create. And you must ask yourself what your intention is. And be honest. If you're creating an opportunity to make more money and F everybody else, screw everybody else, be honest about that. If you're creating something that's going to destroy jobs, right, so you can benefit off that and reap the benefits off that, be honest about that. Stand in that truth. A lot of people wear a lot of masks, or they avoid it, or they try to butter it up or word it in a different way. A thing about lying, telling a bold-faced lie to other people, the first step to that is that you got to lie to yourself first. You have to make it to where you tell yourself the lie first, because the only way you can make other people believe in the lie that you're trying to tell them is to make yourself believe the lie first. When you believe in the lie and you know the truth, but you make yourself believe in a lie that you know is untrue, right? Then you're able to make it convincing to other people, and they'll follow you and they'll believe you. All the while you know it's untrue. I can't operate in a system like that. I can't operate in a space like that. It literally makes my body not sick, but it's rejected. My body rejects it. my energy system rejects. I can't sleep right if I know that I'm telling a lie. I've always had issues telling a bull-faced lie. Even a white lie. Guilt. Instantaneously. It's like, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta be honest about that. I can't hide it, right? Be honest about what your intentions are when you're creating. That's all I'm asking. And, ask yourself these things. I ask myself these things, right? And sometimes we don't really think. Sometimes, all that much. Sometimes we don't really allow our choices to sit within our body, all of it, and weigh it out a little bit. I remember, what was her name? She's a comedian, redheaded woman, very loud, abrasive voice. Gosh, what's her name? She was really popular in the 90s. Not Carrot Top. It's a woman. Something Griffin. She's an Irish American. Anyway, I think she's well in her 60s now. Kathy Griffin. Yeah. Okay. I think it's Kathy Griffin. But do you remember when she did that thing with Trump's head? Ooh. When I remember, I think it was in college when that happened. I just got out of college. I was in my mid-20s or early 20s. And I was just like, whoa, like, what are you creating there? What's going on in your mind that would say, yeah, that's going to be hilarious, right? And I'm apolitical, okay? I'm not taking sides. Nope. We're all being played by the systems. We're all being played. So whatever side that you want to choose, go ahead and choose it. I'm not choosing any side because it's the two sides on the same coin. They're one coin and they're playing everybody. They're playing everyone. That's just my opinion. That's what I stand on. So I'm not for the red, not for the blue, purple maybe, but it's not what you think it is. It's not what you have to look beyond what you can see, and you have to hear or listen beyond what you can hear. You have to know how to read between the lines. It's called discernment. Most people, I feel like, are beginning to develop that. Hopefully. But yeah, I was just like, what is she thinking? It was violent. Like, I'm like, ooh, you thought that would be funny? I don't know. Sometimes we don't think before we share our creations, Sometimes we don't. Or say things. Because the words that come out of our mouth are spells. S-P-E-L-L. They're magical. We're constantly speaking things outward. Even when we're cursing someone, that's a curse. That's a real curse. When you're upset at someone and you make it you curse them, you say swear words to them, you're cursing them, you're putting foul, ill wishes onto them. Okay? We're always creating, guys. Always creating. Doctors create. Constantly. It's not just artists out here creating. No, everybody's creating. A mechanic, a creator. Teachers are creating. They're creators. We're constantly. So I'm going to leave it there. Just food for thought. What is your intention behind the things that you create? Is it truly serving love? Is it serving truth? Is it serving light? The things that we create and the consequences of our creations may be right in alignment at the moment, but then it may become out of alignment later. You see? I don't have all the answers. I'll never claim to have all the answers. I never will ever claim that. Ever. I can only speak from how I perceive life and energy around me and within me. So take, if it resonates with you, great. If not, great. May this message find you well and whole, and thank you so much for tuning in. Good night.